The Hunter's Creed. Chapter 1, The Rift. The void between galaxies was not silent. It roared. A wound opened in the dark, a spiraling cataract of gravity and light that twisted hyperspace into screaming geometry. Lightning the color of dying stars tore across the tear, scattering fragments of shattered matter like sparks from a forge. Something fell through. The Hunter struck atmosphere like a meteor. The drop pod's ablative shell burned white, plasma screaming across its hull as gravity seized it. Instruments within the vessel, primitive by Imperial standards but masterful in the language of the Hunt, flashed warning glyphs in alien script. Pressure howled. Guidance fins sheared away. The craft spiraled through copper clouds toward the broken land below. Impact came like the strike of a warhammer. Stone exploded. Dust surged skyward in a towering plume. The pod buried itself deep in the ash-scarred soil of the outer rim world designated Arcanus Theta in old Imperial charts, a world abandoned after the Emperor's death, though remnants of his empire still clung to its bones like parasites. For a long moment the wasteland held its breath. Then the pod split open. Steam rolled out, carrying the scent of scorched alloy and strange ozone. From within rose a towering shape. The Yortia stepped into the alien galaxy. Nearly 8 feet of corded muscle, dreadlocked tendrils hanging from a skull crowned with bone ridges. Its skin bore the mottled pattern of a jungle predator, though the world it now stood upon was barren, a desert of basalt and rust-colored dust stretching beneath a bruised sky. Its mask, smooth, metallic, insectile, flickered with diagnostic light. The Hunter breathed. Air composition, acceptable. Temperature, mild. Life signs, distant. A low clicking rumble rose in its throat. The hunt had begun. It moved with the fluid silence of a stalking beast, scanning the horizon through shifting spectrums. Infrared revealed heat ghosts buried beneath rock. Electromagnetic overlays danced across its visor, mapping energy signatures the way a wolf reads wind. Then it saw them. Machines. Several kilometers away, a convoy crawled across the desert, repulsor transports surrounded by armored escorts. Engines burned bright against the cold landscape. Soldiers rode atop the vehicles in stark white armor. Stormtroopers. The Hunter did not know their name, but it understood the shape of warriors. The Yortia climbed a ridge of broken obsidian and crouched low. Its wrist display unfolded, projecting a rotating hologram of the convoy. It studied their movement patterns, weapon ranges, escort formation. Primitive discipline. But armed. Worthy. A rasping purr vibrated from its chest. The creature activated its cloak. Light bent around its form, warping the air like heat haze. To outside eyes the Hunter vanished, leaving only a ripple drifting down the slope. The desert wind carried the scent of metal, fuel, and fear. Prey. The Hunter descended toward the convoy. Chapter 2, The First Hunt. The Imperial convoy moved slowly across the wastes, kicking up red dust behind its repulsor sleds. Inside the lead transport, Lieutenant Garrick Valen wiped sweat from his brow. "Scanners clear?" he asked. A technician glanced at the console. "Nothing but wildlife, sir." "Good." Valen leaned back in his seat. "Once we reach the refinery depot, Command says we'll be transferring the Beskar shipment to Warlord Gideon's fleet." The word Beskar carried weight even among Imperials. Mandalorian iron. Rare. Valuable. And stolen from a shattered world. Outside, stormtroopers rode with rifles ready, their white armor stark against the desert gloom. None of them saw the shimmer on the rocks above. The Hunter crouched there, motionless. Its targeting reticle danced across the soldiers below. Their armor baffled thermal imaging somewhat, but their exposed joints glowed faintly with heat. Weak points. The Hunter's shoulder cannon rose into position with a soft mechanical whine. The reticle locked. Energy built in the weapons chamber, a pulsing blue star. The first bolt struck the rear escort walker. The explosion was instantaneous. Armor liquefied. The machine toppled sideways, spewing flame as stormtroopers scattered in confusion. "What the hell?" Valen shouted. A second plasma bolt carved through the engine block of another transport. The convoy erupted into chaos. Stormtroopers fanned out, firing blindly into the rocks. "Sniper! Find him!" But there was no sniper. Only the Hunter. Invisible. Moving. It dropped among them like a falling shadow. Twin wrist blades snapped from its gauntlet with a metallic hiss. The first trooper never saw death coming. The Hunter's blades punched through plastoid armor at the throat seam, lifting the soldier off the ground before flinging the body aside. Blaster fire erupted. Red bolts streaked through empty air as the Yortia moved faster than human eyes could track. Cloak flickering, it darted between troopers, carving through armor with surgical brutality. One soldier turned just in time to glimpse a distortion behind him. A hand like a vice seized his helmet. The Hunter crushed the armor with a sickening crunch. Across the battlefield, Lieutenant Valen scrambled from the transport. "Form a perimeter. Targets are cloaked." Another plasma bolt obliterated the turret beside him. Screams echoed through the desert. The Hunter moved through them like a storm. It relished the combat, the rhythm of the hunt, the clash of blade and blaster, the rising chorus of worthy resistance. One trooper managed to strike the creature with a lucky shot. The bolt scorched its shoulder. Pain flared. The hunter roared. Not in rage, but exhilaration. A worthy hunt. It deactivated its cloak. The soldiers froze as the towering alien shape revealed itself amid the carnage. Mandibles flared open beneath its mask. The Yortia charged. Chapter 3, Ghosts of Mandalore. Far above the battlefield, hidden within the fractured cliffs, another group watched the carnage unfold. Their armor was dark, scarred by years of exile. Mandalorians. By the forge, one whispered. The speaker was Kale Vizran, commander of a small Mandalorian cell operating in the Outer Rim. His helmet's visor glowed faintly as he observed the slaughter below. Stormtroopers died in droves, but not by Mandalorian hands. What is that thing? Asked a young warrior beside him. Kale zoomed his optics. The alien warrior stood amid burning wreckage, ripping a blaster rifle from a trooper's grasp before hurling the man into a transport hull hard enough to dent the metal. Not a droid, Kale muttered. Force user. Another Mandalorian shook her helmet. No saber. The creature moved like a myth, too fast, too brutal, cloaking and uncloaking in bursts of shimmering light. Looks like a Sith assassin, someone said. Kale considered that. The Empire had many secret weapons. But whatever this was, it was destroying their target convoy. Which meant opportunity. Prepare to engage, Kale said. Several helmets turned toward him. With that thing down there? Yes. He activated his jetpack. If it's Imperial, it dies with them. Flames burst from Mandalorian packs as the warriors launched from the cliff. They descended like meteors. Chapter 4, Clash of Creeds. The hunter sensed them before it saw them. New heat signatures. Fast. Descending. It turned just as armored figures landed around the burning convoy, jetpacks roaring, blasters raised. The Yortia froze. New prey. Different. Stronger. Their armor radiated strange density on its scanners, metal denser than anything the hunter had encountered before. One stepped forward. Kale Vizran. Unknown warrior, he called, voice amplified through his helmet. Stand down. The alien tilted its head. It did not understand the language. But it recognized the tone. Challenge. Kale raised his rifle. The hunter answered by extending its wrist blades. The Mandalorians opened fire. Blaster bolts slammed into the Yautja's cloak field, forcing it visible again. The creature rolled aside with impossible agility, plasma caster firing in response. The bolt struck a Mandalorian square in the chest. Beskar armor flared with molten light, but held. The warrior staggered, alive. The hunter paused. Impressed. Kale ignited his jetpack and slammed into the creature shoulder first. Both warriors crashed into the sand. Blades clashed with Beskar gauntlets in a shower of sparks. The Mandalorian fought with disciplined ferocity, every strike precise, every movement efficient. The hunter laughed. A deep clicking sound. A worthy opponent. They circled each other amid the burning convoy. Blaster fire from the remaining Mandalorians peppered the hunter, but it moved through the storm with terrifying grace. One warrior launched a grappling line around the alien's leg. The hunter severed it instantly. Another attacked with a vibroblade. The Yortia caught the weapon mid-swing and snapped it in half. The battle raged across the wreckage. Then Kale tackled the creature again, driving a Beskar knife toward its throat. The hunter caught his wrist. Their helmets were inches apart. For a long moment neither moved. The Yortia studied the Mandalorian. The warrior's armor bore ancient sigils. Clan markings. Scars of many battles. A hunter. Not prey. Something ancient stirred in the alien's instincts. Recognition. Honor. Slowly, the hunter released Kale's wrist. The Mandalorian hesitated. Then lowered his blade. Around them the battlefield fell silent. Stormtroopers lay dead. The wind carried ash through the wreckage. Two warriors from different galaxies stood facing one another. Kale spoke softly. This is the way. The hunter tilted its head. Then tapped its chest once with a clawed hand. A gesture older than language. Hunter. Warrior. Equal. The Mandalorians did not raise their weapons again. The desert wind howled through the wreckage as the first fragile truce between worlds was born. Chapter 5, Embers of Understanding. Night came quickly to Arcanis Theta. The desert cooled beneath a sky thick with alien stars, their light reflected in the cracked hulls of the destroyed convoy. Fires smoldered among the wreckage, painting the dunes with wavering orange shadows. The Mandalorians moved through the debris with methodical purpose. Stormtrooper corpses were dragged aside. Weapons were collected. Salvageable supplies were stacked near the surviving transports. And always, at the edge of the firelight, the alien hunter watched. The Yortia crouched atop a broken repulsor sled, its towering silhouette etched against the dim glow of flames. Its cloak had been deactivated, but it remained unnervingly still, like a carved idol of some forgotten god of war. Several Mandalorians kept their blasters trained loosely in its direction. Kale Vizran approached slowly. His helmet's visor glinted with reflected firelight. "You helped us," he said, knowing the creature would not understand. "Whether you meant to or not." The hunter tilted its head again. It studied the armored warrior as one predator studies another across a watering hole. Kale knelt beside a fallen stormtrooper and removed a data cylinder from the man's belt. His gauntlet projected a small holographic display, showing fragments of Imperial orders. Supply manifests. Troop transfers. Beskar shipments. The Mandalorian glanced toward the convoy's cargo sleds. He walked over and forced open a crate with his vibroblade. Inside lay dark ingots. Beskar. Even through his helmet, Kale felt the weight of it, metal that once flowed through the forges of Mandalore, now stolen and shipped to Imperial warlords. A low growl escaped him. Behind him the hunter stirred. The alien rose from its perch and approached the open crate. It extended a clawed hand and lifted one of the ingots. The metal was heavy. Dense. Strange. Its visor flickered through scanning modes. The composition baffled its instruments. Not durasteel. Not any alloy the hunter knew. Yet the metal hummed faintly, almost like a living thing. Kale watched carefully. "That's ours," he said quietly. The Yortia turned the ingot in its hand. Then it did something unexpected. It set the metal back in the crate. A gesture of restraint. Respect. The Mandalorians exchanged uneasy glances. The creature could have taken the metal easily. Instead it stepped away. Kale felt the tension in the air shift slightly. Perhaps this being truly understood something of warriors. He gestured toward the battlefield. "You fought well," he said. The alien stared at him. Then its mandibles clicked softly. A sound that almost resembled approval. Chapter 6: The Captive. Dawn had barely touched the horizon when the Mandalorians discovered the survivor. A stormtrooper lay half buried beneath the wreckage of a transport, his armor scorched and cracked. One leg was pinned beneath twisted metal. "Commander," one of the warriors called. Kale walked over. The trooper's helmet had been removed, revealing a young man with dust-caked skin and terrified eyes. "Please," he croaked. Kale knelt. "Imperial convoy," the Mandalorian said calmly. "Where was it headed?" The soldier hesitated. A blaster muzzle pressed against his throat. "Speak." The man swallowed. "Refinery outpost, North Ridge," he gasped. "They're processing Mandalorian metal there." Kale's fists clenched. "Beskar." "Yes." The Mandalorian stood. Across the camp the alien hunter watched the interrogation with keen interest. The trooper noticed the towering creature behind the Mandalorians. His eyes widened. What is that thing?" No one answered. Kale turned back toward the soldier. "Why here?" he demanded. "Why mine Beskar on a dead world?" The trooper shook his head weakly. "Orders, from an Imperial warlord, says Mandalorian iron belongs to the Empire now." The words hung in the air like poison. Beside the campfire, the Yortia stiffened. Its mask analyzed vocal patterns, emotional tone, body language. Even without understanding the language fully, it sensed the meaning. Desecration. Plunder. Something sacred taken by weak conquerors. The hunter's mandibles flexed. Kale gestured toward the distant horizon. "Mandalore burned," he said bitterly, as if speaking to the ghosts of his people. "The Empire glassed our cities. Poisoned our air. They stole our metal and melted it into their war machines." The captive trooper whimpered. The Yortia stepped forward. All eyes turned toward it. The creature crouched beside the soldier. Its massive hand lifted the man by the collar with ease. The trooper screamed. But the alien did not strike. Instead it looked into the human's eyes. Its visor flashed. A recording played through external speakers, translated fragments of the trooper's earlier speech. "Metal belongs, Empire." The hunter's mandibles flared. Then it slammed the soldier back into the sand and released him. The message was clear even across species. The Empire had committed an insult. And the hunter understood insult. Kale watched carefully. "You see it too," he murmured. The alien turned its masked face toward the Mandalorian. For the first time, Kale felt something deeper behind that cold visor. Not merely curiosity. Recognition. The two warriors stood amid the ashes of the battlefield. Different worlds. Same enemy. Chapter 7: The Silent Pact. That night the Mandalorians prepared to leave. Supplies from the convoy had been loaded onto their own transport skiffs. Weapons were redistributed among the warriors. The captured stormtrooper had been left behind with enough water to survive. Mercy. A rare luxury among exiles. Kale stood beside the lead transport and watched the alien hunter across the dunes. The Yortia had returned to the ridge where the battle began. It stood against the stars like a dark monument. For a moment Kale wondered if it would simply vanish back into the wasteland. Then the creature leapt from the ridge. It landed beside the Mandalorian group with effortless grace. Several warriors raised their weapons. Kale lifted a hand. "Hold." The hunter stepped forward. It extended one arm. A small hologram flickered above its wrist device. Coordinates. The same refinery outpost the trooper had described. Kale stared at the projection. You want to hunt them? The alien stared back. Mandibles clicking softly. Kale glanced at his warriors. They're processing Beskar there, one said quietly. Another added, Imperial remnants guarding it. A long silence followed. Finally Kale stepped closer to the hunter. You fight beside us, he said. You follow our command in battle. The alien tilted its head. Kale placed a hand over the symbol etched into his chest plate. This is the way. The hunter watched the gesture. Slowly, it mirrored the motion, placing its clawed hand against its own chest. A strange rasping sound emerged from its throat. A mimicry of the phrase. Not the words, but the meaning. The Mandalorians exchanged glances. Kale nodded once. Then we hunt together. The wind rose across the desert. In the distance lightning flickered over the horizon where the gravitational rift still scarred the sky, a silent reminder that the galaxy had changed. A hunter from beyond the stars now walked its worlds. And for the first time since Mandalore fell, the Mandalorians had gained something unexpected. An ally born of the hunt. Kale climbed into the transport and looked back at the alien warrior standing among them. Mount up, he said. Jet engines roared. The convoy lifted from the desert floor and streaked into the night. Among them stood the towering shape of the Yorcha, watching the stars with unblinking eyes. Somewhere beyond those lights lay the world where it was born. But here, in this wounded galaxy of warriors and ghosts, the hunter had found something new. Not prey. Not yet. Something closer to kin. And the hunt had only begun.